But good morning or afternoon. My name is Tamara Halverson. I'm with Via Customers. We're a software company helping build more meaningful customer relations for the world's businesses with a suite of mobile commerce tools. And sometimes even the best of us hit that creative brick wall. We've got Black Friday and Cyber Monday less than 68 days away. And so today we are going to get creative. We're going to experiment and we're going to innovate, and we're going to show you how to crush your Q4 marketing goals. So if you'll tab me over next, please, Chaz.
Yes.
But before we kick things off, though, I do want to thank you for joining us on behalf of Via Customers. We know your time is valuable, and we're very grateful that you've chosen to be with us today. So if you'll go one more, please. Our schedule consists of just going through this introduction, introducing you to our guest speaker, Isiah Fowler. And then also, I want to introduce you to my co-host, who's going to help us with our Q&A, Murray Wright. So let's get started, though. I want to introduce you to my co-host, Murray. How are you?
I am fantastic. How are you?
I'm doing so good. So excited to be here. Murray is going to facilitate our questions with our guest speaker at the end of this webinar. And we're going to go ahead and use our chat. So anytime that you have any questions, please go ahead and enter them right into the chat. That'll be perfect, because we definitely do want to hear from you at that particular time. But I do want to just go over what we have. And if you'll go to our next slide, I want to introduce you to our speaker. Awesome. Thank you. And today we have the pleasure of hearing from and talking with a gentleman full of passion, vision, and a love for life, Mr. Isiah Fowler. And Isiah is the founder of Suave Eyewear. It's a mission-driven company created to motivate, inspire, and empower goal-oriented visionaries to achieve absolute greatness. Just a little bit about Isiah and his journey throughout his entrepreneurship. It hasn't been a simple one. It started with his dedicated service in the U.S. Armed Forces, the United States Air Force, and that brought him face-to-face with his mortality in the ICU with malaria. And as he was sick, he asked himself, if I die, would I be internally fulfilled and happy with my contribution to society? His answer was no. His mind and heart pushed him in the direction of becoming an entrepreneur. And at that time, podcasts were gaining popularity. So Isiah was able to start a podcast. He wanted to inspire people and build a community around the realities of becoming and being an entrepreneur. So he started his podcast, and it's a very cool name. It was Start With a Vision, or SWAV, S-W-A-V, which I thought was very cool. So after impacting hundreds of thousands of people with his message, Isiah's next step in his journey for entrepreneurship, he wanted to create a physical product. So he took it to Suave Eyewear, S-W-A-V. He wanted to inspire others through each pair of sunglasses. They come with an inspirational affirmation for the wearer to never give up on their vision. I actually have mine right here. I wanted to show you. It was very cool. And my affirmation is stay on course. So that's kind of my vision here. But he also has done much more than that. He's created a visionary investment fund grant to give back and support visionaries in the community. And with each pair of frames sold, monetary amounts added to this fund. Applicants are submitted and a visionary is chosen to receive this grant. So just to quote Isiah, this is my bigger contribution to society, and I hope for you to join the Suave family and become a visionary, end quote. So not only has Isiah created something that people could genuinely connect with on a deeper level, but he also shows others the possibilities of life and shares his passion willingly. So I am going to turn it over to my friend, Isiah Fowler.
I appreciate that amazing introduction. How you doing today?
I'm good. I'm good. So good to see you.
Likewise. Likewise.
Yeah.
So I guess I don't like to waste people's time and stuff like that. I really like to just go straight into like the good stuff and the real content and the substance. So the first thing I want to take you guys just through a journey. And then at the end, we're going to bring everything together. But first and foremost, a lot of people will say, okay, why SMS? We've been hearing about it for a while now, but a lot of people aren't fully taking advantage of what SMS could be for their brand. So the first thing is, when you think about building a company on the internet, your SMS is another touch point. So that's the first thing I want to paint this picture for you guys to understand. SMS is a touch point, and it's a very valuable touch point because you're building a super direct connection with the customer, because when someone gets on your SMS list, they're saying, send me information about your sales and promotions and things like that. So when we, number one, ask ourselves, why SMS? I really want people to understand, number one, it's powerful. Number two, it'll of course help you make more revenue, but it also helps you build the long-term brand. SMS is a part, and it should be a part of your strategy long-term. And that is a non-negotiable moving forward in the next, the few years. Because what's gonna happen is, down the road, SMS is just like a foundation. The industry is gonna be building upon SMS. So you wanna really get in early and really build up your platform and your distribution list of people via SMS, so that down the road, you'll be able to leverage this tool for your brand and for your company. So that's number one, why SMS? So the next thing is, I started with my SMS list in last year around, I want to say it was September-ish. And so I was using Postscripts, and then Via reached out to me. So what ends up happening was, we started, and then my list grew much, much, much faster than what it was doing before. Via helped me really understand and see how to grow my list, kind of I don't want to say automated, but a lot more intentional. So then what ends up happening is, I started growing the list. And because you have SMS and you also have email, now you have two different ways within your company how you can not only make money, but make it a little bit more passively through your automations. So you have the SMS, you have the email, and then you have all your automations inside of the actual platform and how you can use it. So it was very, very, very powerful when I saw that. And I was like, okay, cool. All I'm gonna do now is continuously double down on SMS and email. And another thing is, when you have email, some people don't look at the emails, but people will look at the SMS. So you're really gonna be able to maximize your revenue and capture the attention from somebody who may be in their text messages more than their emails, right? So the next thing is, when you're focusing on SMS, you're literally going direct to their inbox, not their email. Your email is more of a branding, but your SMS is like direct sales, because you text your mother. So essentially, you're building the same type of relationship with your customers that someone is building with their mother or with their brother or with a good friend. So this is the type of relationship that you want to be able to build and foster over time with your customers. And I know that a lot of people feel like, isn't text message too intrusive, or isn't it going to, people don't want that. But the thing about it is, people would not get on the SMS list if they didn't want the information from your brand. And just because people get on your SMS list and don't purchase day one does not mean that they won't purchase 30 days from now, 60 days from now. So we have to really learn how to zoom out of our brand. We zoom out of our brand and we look at things from a much broader perspective and a long-term perspective. And on average, email open rates are roughly about like 15%. A really, really, really good open rate is about, for email is like, if you're getting like 20, 25%, that's really good. But with SMS, the open rate is way higher, way like over 50%, like 80 or 90%. So what ends up happening is if you have a sale and you just have your email list and you're only sending emails, yes, you can make money in revenue. But if you maximize your SMS list, you could probably add an additional 30 to 40% of revenue, right? So you can go from making, let's say you launch a new product, right? You launch a new product, and then let's say you send out an email and you make $10,000 on that launch, and you weren't using SMS. If you had a distribution list of people on your SMS list, that 10,000 launch literally could become a $25,000 launch, because people are going to see that sale directly in their inbox, and they may not purchase that second, but within a few hours or to the end of that day, they will purchase most likely, right? When I send out campaigns, I look at it, I'll send out an email, and then I'll send out a text message, and I'll stagger them, and I'll look at how fast did the traffic get to my website. And when I send out a text message, the traffic goes to my website much, much, much faster, right? So SMS, where we're at right now, is really still in the early phases, as like email was 5 to 7 years ago. Down the road, people are not going to be as attached to their text messages as they were with their emails. And so it's going to be like, we're going to be looking for the next thing. So we really have to focus on cashing out and actually building up this distribution list right now. And that's another thing from an SMS perspective. You want to look at this as a distribution list, right? You want to build up a list of people where you can send your message to and be able to get a result from. Sometimes it may not be just a sale. Sometimes you may send an SMS just to brand, like a brand SMS, not even pushing a sale, but just to communicate with your customers, to let them know that like you're here or you appreciate them, or whatever the case may be. So, and now this goes to the returning customer rate, right? When you're building a business, when you're building a company and your company is growing, these are some of the metrics you want to look at: your first time customer rate versus your returning customer rate. So if your returning customer rate is only, let's say your returning customer rate is 15%, then, and your SMS list is small, then if you increased your SMS list, that means your returning customer rate would go up, because most likely you have people on your SMS list that are going to continue to purchase, repeat and repeat and repeat. So being able to have that list is going to drop your marketing costs and increase your revenue, right? So I see a couple questions in the chat.
Do you want me to read those out to you?
Sure, I have it right now. What kind of unsubscribe rate do you see in your own brand? Is that percentage high? For my brand, for SMS, it's literally like less than like 4 to 5%, right? Maybe maybe 3 to 5 people will unsubscribe in a month on SMS. So it's not a lot. And if they do, I wouldn't focus on the unsubscribe rate. The reason being is because they're doing you a favor, because this does cost money. So if somebody unsubscribes from your list, they're actually doing you a favor and saving you money, right? So would you elaborate on how to build a brand? So we're gonna talk through that down in the slides, a few slides from now. What's the best technique you've seen to grow your list quickly? I got you, Angela. We're gonna talk about that too. Literally, that's the next slide, right? This one, and then a few other slides, right? So when we talk about list building, right? This is how I look at it. When you're building a list, all right, so you're building a list and you're building a brand. Number one, you want to have a story / conversation and a narrative from a brand perspective, right? So when you have a product, and let's say for me, eyewear. I didn't just say we want to sell sunglasses. I literally created a whole story and a whole narrative behind a product because I had to create my unique value proposition. And I also had to create something that allowed me to fit inside of the market, right? But that was unique so that I could stand out. So number one, when we're talking about brand building, before we even get to list building, we need to build the actual brand. And the brand is about your UVP, is about your positioning. What's the story? What's the narrative? What is the conversation that we're creating around the product? Because there's millions of companies out here in the world. So what is going to make this company stand out within an industry that has all these different companies selling essentially the same product, right? I have a hydro flask right here. This keeps water warm, cool, right? For a longer period of time. What I would do with the hydro flask, just because I'm me, I would probably find a different niche and then attach this hydro flask to the niche. And I would like intersect the actual product with the niche. And I would figure out what the niche loves. And then I would have that product and I would intersect, and that would be where my story and my message lies. And I would be speaking to that niche, right? So that's how you build the actual brand. And when we talk about branding and brand building, it is a long-term play. You cannot make brand decisions, but be a short-term thinker. Because when you're building a brand, you have to be committed to the long term, right? So now you have the brand. So now we're going to say, okay, how are we going to actually build the list? It is I had someone I was working with, and we did a giveaway. Giveaways, if you do a giveaway every single month and just say, hey, we're going to do a giveaway, but the giveaway has to be very, very, very enticing. So it has to be something so good that people are willing to literally give their information for. But here's the best part of the actual giveaway. When you do a giveaway, let's say you're going to give away, somebody put in the comments, like, what do you guys sell? Because I want to do it like a giveaway to what somebody sells. So put in the comments the companies that you have, what products do you sell? And I'm going to give you an idea for an actual giveaway for your brand right now. Because I don't want to do it for me or talk about theory. I want to, do it for somebody right here. So let's say, okay, so natural beauty products, journals and affirmation cards, women's clothing. What we got? Okay, so let's say I'll do it for a couple, right? So let's say a journal and an affirmation card. Depending on what type of journal and affirmation cards, I would literally say, okay, and it also depends on, like, you need to really know your product, because how long does this product last, right? Because if this product only lasts, like, what's the life cycle of your actual product? So if we say journals and affirmation cards, I would, if it's a 90-day journal, is it a 60-day journal? Is it a year-long journal? Because that's going to dictate what your giveaway is actually going to be. So let's say that it was a 90-day journal. The journal only lasts for 90 days. I would say we're doing a giveaway and we're giving away a year's worth of journals, because the consumer is like, whoa, I get a whole year worth of journals, right? So what you do is you do that. You're going to run your ads. Of course, you're going to promote it, but then you need to think about the psychology of it. And I've done this with giveaways. When you do a giveaway, depending on how much your product costs, a journal, let's say you're selling a journal for $30. So 4 journals at retail price is $120, right? 3 times 4 is 12, which is $120. So you're giving away $120. To make that journal is no more than like $10. So 10 times 4 is $40. So you're only really losing $40. But if you get, let's just say you get 100 people on your email list and your conversion rate is, let's just say 10% from those who come on your email list, then, and they buy 1 journal, 10% of 100 people is 10 people. If you're selling the journal for $30 and you get 10 people, 10 times 30 is $300. So you're giving away $40 worth of product that you paid for to make 300, but you have another 90 people on your actual email, your SMS list to be able to market to. And what happens is just because when you do a giveaway, they're going to get on your list, but a small percentage of people aren't going to wait until the whole month of you doing the giveaway to announce the winner. They're going to just buy within that 30 days. So this is how you're able to maximize revenue, right? So this is how you give things to get things back. So if you do this, let's say if you commit to building your list for the next 12 months, every single month you do a giveaway every single month, and it's like clockwork, your list will build so fast and it will grow so fast, and you'll be able to maximize the revenue because people are interested in your brand, but you have to truly incentivize people to be able to get on your list. And once they get on your list, you'll be sending out content, right, about the products, about the story, about the brand, about the narrative. And that's what's going to make people in their mind grow fond of the brand, and then they'll want to purchase from the company, right? And so we have natural beauty products, men's, women's clothing. Let's say natural beauty products. Something similar, I would do a year's worth of your best-selling product, right? Same psychology, but a year's worth of your best-selling product. Women's clothing and PJs and loungewear. Let's say for PJs and loungewear, I would just give away one set. And then every month also, you want to also know that business is like a science experiment and you're testing. So in science, you have a hypothesis, you test that hypothesis, and then you come up with your does this hypothesis work or not? It's the same. One giveaway may work better than another one. So you're going to want to tweak the giveaways. And that's why I say do it every single month, because with that, you're going to find out the best giveaway, the best, mix on how to give away something. And then we go from there. Right. And that's just one way. You can also do collab giveaways with, let's say, an influencer. But my favorite is just doing a straight up giveaway. You can run some ads to the actual giveaway, leverage your Instagram, et cetera, because when you're doing the giveaways, I used to sell cars. And when I was selling cars, I always saw that whenever I wasn't focusing on my pipeline, that's when I started to struggle in my sales. But as long as you have the pipeline always being filled with fresh leads, then your business will always be growing and expanding. The giveaway is what's allowing you to actually build up the potential for customers to purchase from you. And then the automations inside of your SMS campaigns and automations will take care of the branding, telling the story, and getting people to purchase, right? So that's what we want to talk about from a perspective of brand building and then list building. So if you sit here and you commit to a giveaway every 30 days, then your list will grow so big, and then you'll be able to leverage that list down the road, right? And also from a branding perspective, let's just say that you live in Kentucky, or you live in, let's say Florida. That's a good one, right? Florida. And you see that a good portion of your people are in Florida. Now, what if you wanted to do an event? You can literally leverage the SMS and say, hey, we're going to be at this event. We're going to do this event here. Are you in? This is the power of being direct to your customer and direct to your consumer. But when you don't have the data and when you don't have the relationship, you won't be able to communicate with them and connect with them on that level. So that's why it's so important to build these distribution lists where you can communicate with your customers in multiple ways, not just sales. So that way you can build the brand and people can continue to grow with the brand and love the actual brand. So that's what I wanted to say about list building and also brand building. And then the next thing I want you guys to think about is we have something called owned media. So right now, we just had earlier this year, for those of you that are running ads, there is something called iOS, right? So that killed retargeting. So let's think about this. Let's say you're spending $20,000 per month in ad spend and marketing. So what happens, and let's say 50% of that 20,000 was being spent on retargeting ads on Facebook and Instagram. iOS has proven that the retargeting doesn't work as much. But when you have the owned media, and when I say owned media, it means you own the relationship with your customer and you're not depending on the retargeting ads, like you know exactly who you're talking to. That is now the new retargeting, right? That's how you want to think about it. So instead of spending all this money on ads for retargeting, why don't we just put more resources and energy into communicating with our customer, and that relationship, as it strengthens, that will reflect in our revenue and in our return customer rate, right? That's how you want to think about it. So I look at it as owned media is now the new retargeting, and that's why we have to build up our distribution list and how we communicate with our customers, because right now we're in the best times that we've ever been in, and it's only going to get more challenging because 3 years ago it was even easier. So right now it's a little bit more challenging what it used to be, but it's the easiest it's ever going to be going in the future. It's not going to get easier because more people are going to be starting businesses, more people are going to be running ads, more people are going to be getting on SMS. So you really want to double down right now and understand the opportunity that we're all sitting on as e-com brand owners. We can literally in 2 to 3 years have a list, SMS list of 150,000 people, an email list huge as well, and be able to make millions of dollars from our brands just off of our website by communicating with our customers, having conversations, having two-way conversations, right? So that's very important from an owned media perspective. And so when we're talking about, there's like three phases of SMS success that I look at. And so this, I'm gonna break this down for you, and this is what you guys can do next quarter, which is October, November, and December, right? So the first phase, we have data collection. So let's say you get the data, right? You get the data, and then the buildup is, let's say you're gonna launch something, or you have a promotion, or you have a sale. You prime them, because when you go watch a movie in the theaters, we know that this movie is coming 7 months before, right? And then every year we see whatever big movie that came out and premiered, they talk about, like, did it break a record? What were the box office sales? So what this means is you have to be marketing months and months and months in advance to have a really, really, really big launch. So it's about the anticipation. If you can build anticipation with your list in 2 weeks, that's perfectly fine. You know, it doesn't have to be like a movie in 8 months in advance, but you really want to be able to collect the data being the people on your SMS list, and then the build up, the anticipation, teasers, right? Different things, getting them ready. You can send an email of a video that you made, but it's not on the internet. It's only for the people that are on the SMS list. This is going to get them riled up. This is going to get them excited, right? This is going to get them understanding even what you're selling. And you also have to over communicate, because when you over communicate from your perspective, you're communicating regular to the perspective of the consumer, because consumers are literally being bombarded every day with all these different Instagram accounts, all these different emails, all these different text messages. So sending out multiple messages and doing different things to get them to understand what you're selling, you're not over communicating, or you're not being annoying. You're actually just keeping them abreast of what's going on with the company, because they would not be on the list if you didn't, if they didn't want to be on the list, they would unsubscribe. That's how you have to look at it. And then the third phase is literally the value exchange. And the value exchange being, okay, we got the data, we primed you, we got you excited. The value exchange is, here is the sale, here is the promotion, here is the launch. Now, you know, let's exchange that. So you look at it as, you give them your energy, you give them, you know, education on the product, you teach them different things, and then they reciprocate the energy financially by purchasing whatever product, right? So those are the 3 phases of how you want to do SMS, and you want to do that consistently. You don't always want to say, hey, we got to sell, hey, we got to sell, because subconsciously the consumer is going to start, your open rates are going to start dropping, because they're going to be like, dang, all you ever got is a sale. I'm tired of this. At some point, the customer wants to know, do you actually care about me more than just a sale, a 50% off sale? And also, once you really get build up your list and you can start segmenting it, then you can really get even more personal within your conversations as well. So that's another thing as well. So those are the 3 phases. And now we take those 3 phases and then we implement that right into Q4 right now, right? So the next 90 days, you can literally do a giveaway this next 30 days, right? Create a really good giveaway. And then you say, hey, I had a client I was working with, we did a vacation giveaway. They gave a trip away to Tulum, right? So in October, you can give away, it doesn't have to be a trip, whatever it is that you want, that you know your people would say yes to, right? So for 30 days, you're pushing it hard, pushing it hard, pushing it hard, right? So now you have all this data. And within that 30 days, you will get a small percentage of people to purchase your products just from being on your list, because your automations are going to say, hey, thank you for getting on this giveaway. We will announce the winner at the end of the month. But in the meantime, check out our products. There will be a percentage of people that are going to purchase within that 30 days. So you're going to make money on the front end, but then you're also going to make much more money on the back end. And somebody told me when I was a little bit younger, he said, rookies make money on the front end, but experts make money on the back end. So you want to always know that your SMS is a back end play and a long-term play. When you do giveaways, that is a front end play, but it's beefing you up to have a larger back end when you do launch, right? And if you have a higher return customer rate, if you sell hair care or skin care, your return customer rate should be high, right? And also, well, depending how fast you're growing, and also your your lifetime value of your customer should be higher as well. And that's why you want to have these different channels for where you can communicate with your customers, so that you can increase and maximize the potential of what your customer is actually valued at. Because if you have a goal down the road to be able to sell the company and get acquired, these are the things that they're going to be looking at, right? How much is it costing you to get your customer? How long are they staying with you? A lot of different data that they're going to be focusing on internally of your company. And this will help you become more valuable. And also it'll help you increase your equity that you'll be able to keep for you, right? Because you'll already have these things in place, and an investor is going to be like, hey, if they invest in your company, you already got this in place. We're just putting more money in your business so that it can grow, right? So you don't want to have an investor come in your business. They have to really build the business for you, because the equity that you'll have to give up will be greater, rather than if you just had all this in place right now, right? And then after you do the giveaway, the next thing is, okay, the promotion. And the promotion being the buildup, right? The buildup that we were talking about. So you build it up, and within that, that's content. You can do small sales, or you can do things where you're testing out what offer works best. And then and then the last thing is the actual sale of the promotion, the one that okay, this is what we're going to go through, this is what we're going to go with, and then you do it. And then you also want to have, when you do any kind of launch or promotions, you want to have the initial. When you study launches, there's an initial spike, and then there's a decline, and then at the end of it, it goes back up. So within that launch, you want to be able to, okay, you're going to have your SMS, your campaigns that are going to go out. And then in between that, you want to have different text messages that go out that are reminding people that this is going on. This is when it expires. This is when the last time it purchases. And then in the last couple hours of the last day, you send out 1 or 2 other campaigns as well. And then you're going to see an uptick in that also. So that's what you can literally do this 90 days via your content. But I think to keep it really simple, if you have a very, very good, a very generous giveaway in October, you'll build up your SMS list, and that will set you up for a much more lucrative November and December as well. And the last thing I would say with all of this is having a team to lean on is very important. And so when I started working with Via, literally anything that I ever need, I can email somebody on the team, and they can literally help me. When I had postscripts, that's one reason why my list wasn't growing, because I just didn't have, it was just like an app and that was it. There was no connection. But when I started working with Via, there was more of a connection. And that's about building a brand. And that's something to learn even with your customers as you're growing your brand, right? Call your customers, text message your customers, email your customers, ask them questions rather than just selling to them. And then the longevity of your company will definitely last a lot longer, right? So that is what I wanted to say, and that's what I wanted to talk about. So if you guys have any questions, you know what I'm saying, we could definitely, of course, open it up and go from there.
Isiah, well, first off, amazing job. Thank you for walking us through all those talking points. You gave some great ideas for the new people on here that, for Q4 and how to really go about and push that further. So thank you so much for taking the time to do that.
Absolutely.
There was a question that I got that I want to ask just right now, just because it just went off your last point about promotion. Can you talk a little bit about the consistency of promotion and kind of the timeline around that as well?
When you say timeline, what do you like? Let me know.
How often you should be posting, like if it's what kind of cadence that is. That was kind of the question that came about.
Okay. Well, number one, it depends on, are you running ads or not? Because if you're running ads, the money is going to work for you. But if you're only organic, you're going to have to use a lot more power, right? I mean, a lot more manual labor, if you will, on social. So depending on if this is a new company or you already have an existing, customer base and stuff like that, these things matter. So I'll give you two examples. Let's say you have a new brand, like let's say you're about to launch an e-commerce company in Q4. Here's what I would do. Before anything, I would get an email list, not an email list. I would reach out to as many people in my network as possible that would most likely purchase this product. So I would get about, at least 50 to 100 people to commit to yes on this launch day. And then with that, I would already have X amount of people. And let's say you get 100 people to say yes, only about 30 to 40 people may actually purchase it immediately. I will put them on an email list. I will ask them, is it okay if I let you know when we do launch, right? That's how I would do that. So now if you have a company where you're already have a customer base, you take that same philosophy and that same mindset, but you just do it with the customers that are already in place, right? That are already on your email list. So if you have there's no one way to do it. It really is predicated on where is your business at? How many people do you have on your list? Because the more people that you have on your list, then it's going to be received a little bit better. But if you have nobody, it's going to be a little bit different, and you may have to get a little bit scrappy, right? So if you're not running ads, you're definitely going to have to post, like, you can never post too much, right? Because when you think about it, do you think that, how many times have we seen McDonald's commercials when we were younger? How many times have we seen all these different commercials when we were younger? They didn't care how many times we saw the commercial. They wanted to drill in our head what they sold, and they wanted to make sure that we purchased it. So you can never market too much in your company, because the goal of your company is to grow, right? As you continue to define the identity of your brand, then you'll be better and you'll know what route you want to take. Because if you're selling like a more luxury brand or premium, your marketing will be a little bit different, right? And when you're running the ads, the money will create the consistency for you. So that really, it does depend on your actual company, the size of it, how much you have. So it's really hard for me to give you like a one answer, because there is no if anybody tells you there's one way to do business, especially e-com, like it's a lie, because everybody's situation is different. So I can't give you a one answer, but I will say it all starts with a base. A lot of people will launch a product and then go get the customer base. Why don't you get the customer base or the audience and then you launch the product? Because if you launch the product to nobody and you have to build it up, it's going to be a tougher, way to grow. But if you have a small little group of people that you can start with, they'll actually be your first investors, and they'll help you grow, of course. And the money that they give you from sales will be what you pour back into the business. So it really depends, but it's all stemmed from and rooted in actually growing and building your customer base and or your audience. And then everything, all the magic happens from that being the foundation of it. And from a perspective of how long and stuff like that, that depends on the product. Is this a product that people have been waiting on for years? Have you never launched a new product and it's been a year and a half, right? For me, we're getting ready to launch blue blockers. I'm going to start promoting it 30 days before, right? Just to kind of give you guys a frame of reference. I'm going to start marketing 30 days before, and we're going to start with a video, and it's going to be basically like a trailer, kind of like a movie trailer, right? And then we're going to start releasing a few photos, because like just how Nike does, they'll drop a photo of a pair of frames, like when Jordans were coming out, and they would have the date at the bottom being the release date. So that's how we're going to do it, right? We're going to do it about 30 days before, but we're starting to build up that customer base, and people have already been asking for it. And that's why I'm going to do it. But if this was to nobody at all, I would be using my personal network. And depending on if I have money for ads or not, that would dictate it as well. But I'm going to start with 30 days. We're going to run ads. We're going to get people getting used to it via email and SMS. We're going to get people getting on a waiting list as well. But also, I am going for more premium, because we don't sell $30 sunglasses. So it's always about the brand, the identity, the aesthetics as well. And that's what's going to dictate how you're going to actually grow your brand and make things happen within your brand. And this is why having strategy with your business is so important, because it's not a one size fits all.
Thank you, Isiah. I appreciate that insight. We've had a few more questions come in. Another question that was asked is, what advice would you give a company or brand to motivate their customers to sign up for SMS outside of giveaways?
I would do, what's the brand? If they can, what's the brand? Because that would tell me more. If they could put it in the comments, that would be cool.
Let's see if they will put it in the comments.
Yeah, if they can. That would be cool. Because you have giveaways, you can do, let me see, collabs, of course, and also like exclusive content, or, coming soon. So depending on, let's say you're launching something and it's literally like, hey, and it's also about customer acquisition as well. And that's a whole nother, thing that people don't necessarily think about depending on where they're at, but it's about the offer. So a giveaway is nothing but an offer. So you want to just be good at crafting offers within your company and within your business to be able to put this out and then see how people receive it. I've just realized that giveaways work best, and they also create momentum, right? But you can do, this is coming soon, but where is your company at? What level is it at? Do you have enough people that would respond to that, right? So did they put it in there yet?
They haven't put it in the chat yet.
Oh no.
And I don't know them personally, so we'll see if they do put that in the chat.
I don't even see it in the chat though.
It was a direct message.
Oh, okay.
So I asked them to put it in the chat here, but we'll see. We can circle back onto that one. Don't be shy, guys. Another question we got is, you talked about owning your audience. So with owning your audience, what was the biggest benefit that you've seen so far with that?
With owning my audience?
Mm-hmm.
I would say customer feedback. I call my customers once a quarter or once, every other month, like those who purchased. And so I have their phone numbers, right? So I literally will call them and say, hey, I'm the founder of Swap Eyewear. I saw you purchase this. How do you like your frames? Who did you buy them for? Did you buy them for you, your husband, your wife, whatever the case may be? And I'll literally have 20, 30-minute conversations with some customers. And what they do is they give me so much insight from the perspective of the consumer. Because when we're marketing our business or growing our business, all we know is the product and that's it, right? But if you have a phone number and you could call them, then you're like, you know exactly who you're selling to. You know why they buy it. You know, like when they get in the car, you know where they're storing their product at. You know how they're even using your product. So I really am big on that part right there. So that's the biggest for me. Not even revenue. It's really about the feedback loop that you can create within it, right? Because your customers will teach you how to make millions, literally. That's why people call it a tribe. Your customers will teach you how to make so much money. And they'll, in their mind, I've called people, they're like, they answer the phone like hello, like, annoyed or whatever. I'll be like, hey, this is Isiah Fowler Swap. I would be like, oh, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like, it's a completely different thing because no eyewear company owner has ever called me. So think about what women's clothing company has never called their customers. Think about what journal company has never called their customers. This is how you set yourself apart. And it comes from having those phone numbers.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great insight. I definitely never gotten a call from a company that I purchased. So I think that's a personal touch and I think that's amazing. Do you feel like with you having those numbers and that customer experience that you're giving to your end consumers, that's why your win back rate is so high?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I know in my industry, a lot of people just will sell to their product to optometry stores and stuff like that. But yeah, and even, people said, oh, I've purchased from other brands and they never did this. So now, and I'm letting them know like, hey, stick with us. We got some dope stuff coming. If you have any questions, reach out to us. Because we're mission driven, we have a lot of different questions that we'll ask people. We'll ask people about their stories. We literally will get emails or responses via text message with paragraphs, literally about I know about some customers, they had cancer, they beat cancer. Some customers, I know what business they want to start. I know how many kids they have. They'll send me photos with their daughter. So it's much deeper. And that's the connection that I want to look to build. And no matter what your revenue is, let's say you're making $50,000 a year. If you do this right now, this is the strongest foundation for your brand down the road. Oftentimes we want to make all these millions of dollars, but we don't understand that it starts with doing these things right now, because you can do them right now because you're not making a lot of money, but you can't call every customer when you're making $3 million a year. But you can call every customer when you're making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year, and you can build that base up. And they will never, ever, ever shop with any other company inside of your industry if you do these things right now.
I couldn't agree more with that statement for sure. We'll do one or two more questions. For a company that is hesitant with starting with SMS during Q4, what advice would you give them?
Don't worry about money. Because here's the thing. What I learned in business is you have to make decisions based on where you want to go. This is literally, most businesses make 30 to 40% of their revenue in the next 3 months. So what would you be hesitant about? That would be my question, right? What are you hesitant about? Because somebody who's skeptical or weary about, growing, that's not a growth mindset. You have to be committed to growing, and growth is always uncomfortable. And I always say, reality only catches up to what you consistently do. So if you're not consistently making decisions rooted in where you want to be in the future, you'll remain exactly where you're at because you'll be afraid to go forward. So you have to understand, why would you be hesitant? That would be my number one question. And most likely it's about fear, or it's about, I don't know if I have this. Just shoot first and ask questions later. Set up this your SMS so you can get the data. The data will allow you to make more money down the road.
That's great. We'll do one more question. What do you think the next big thing will be in marketing for e-commerce businesses?
I think like I think their own networks and shows. So one thing that is super untapped for e-com is YouTube, and Instagram just announced that a couple months ago or a month ago, they're going to be more video heavy. So I'm thinking about like a HSN and QVC. Back in the days when I was younger, at nighttime or whatever, you would go to QVC and the whole day it was just infomercials, and they had, you know, these spinning things, and they would be selling jewelry and all this other stuff, right? So now, if we can just produce content, we can create our own platform that only sells our product. So let's say you have a YouTube and you start doing this, a weekly show, right? And then from there, a year and a half goes by and it grows and evolves. And now you have this weekly show, and on this weekly show, you do like a dope promotion, and they have to text you to be able to get notified about when the show goes live and stuff like that. So I really think the next phase or the next level is literally like taking your company from, you know, like just being a company and wanting to get a brick and mortar to like going from having an online platform that is bringing you the revenue better than what a brick and mortar can. So instead of taking your you know, your revenue and just going and get a traditional brick and mortar store, take that same amount of revenue, invest it into content, and that content will pay you greater than a brick and mortar ever will, in my opinion.
I think that's interesting. Okay, we did get one more question in the chat. You good for one more question? Okay, what is your favorite way of promoting a giveaway? What has been the most effective / enjoyable?
When you say favorite part or favorite way, what do you exactly mean, right?
That was my question. I was just thinking about all of your giveaways that you've been doing, and I'm curious, like, is it on Instagram? Is it social media? Is it by doing emails? Like, what has been the most effective? And you know, when you are doing these giveaways, I can imagine some people have responded saying, I can't wait to do this giveaway. I hope I win, right? And you get to have that two-way conversation with your customers. I'm curious, does anything come to mind when you've been doing your giveaways? What's your favorite way of doing it?
Yeah, the first one for my brand, we just gave one pair away. That was cool. That was like, we were still like super new, and we had just got Via. And then I was working with a client, and it was a trip to Tulum. Like, it was a trip to Tulum because nobody ever did that, especially in the industry within they were working. So we gave away a trip to Tulum. The brand I was working with, they love doing content. So they put out a lot of content for the whole month as well. And within that month, it was, they did a lot of different promotions and stuff like that. And so basically enter in to win, you know, join our list, and then you're going to be entered to win a trip to Tulum. And then, of course, they ran ads and stuff like that. But the whole month, we were just drilling it via email, via ads, via, you know, just a cold, just really getting people who aren't on the list yet to get on the list. And that was my favorite one, because that one went bonkers. It was absolutely insane.
That would probably be my favorite one too. I want a trip.
Yeah, it was super dope.
That's so great. Well, Isiah, I appreciate the time that you put into your presentation. It was phenomenal. You gave some great insight into SMS, how to crush your numbers for Q4. So thank you so much for the time that you put into this. We really appreciate having you today.
Absolutely. I love the Via team. I always got to let y'all know that.
We appreciate the shout out. We love you too. We appreciate everyone else that took time out of their days to join us today. So thank you so much. And we will have this recording sent out to those that were unable to join as well. And for those that did join, you'll get the recording as well. But thank you guys so much for your time, and we'll see you guys next time.
All right, y'all. Have an amazing day.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.